Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast. It is time to be talking NFL Week 2, college football Week 3. We'll get you ready for tonight's action, Friday Night Lights, Saturday and Sunday. I am Drew Martin, joined by Bryan Power, Adam Trigger, CT Bets, breaking it down with you. We are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Get it ordered to your house. 4.5% ABV, zero sugar to help with that hangover the next day. My favorite drink here. Feel free to put a shot of tequila on top for a loaded tequila. Any way you want to do it, use promo code HUSTLE20 at checkout. It takes 20% off your order. That's HUSTLE20 at checkout. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com, powered by Wager Talk YouTube channel as well. Check them out. Best free live odds screen in the industry. Going around the horn here, CT Bet 16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston himself. Welcome on in, buddy. How you feeling?
Drew Martin Bets, I'm feeling great. Happy Thursday to you guys. Nice to have BP here tonight. Hadn't seen him in a little while. Drew, wanted to first start off, tip my cap to you. Last week, you had the Lions. I had the Chiefs. I was wrong. So nice job there. I just wanted to put on the record that I would make that bet again. Chiefs minus 3.5. Needed a fake punt and Tony to drop a pass right in his hands for a pick six. I will make that bet again. I stand by all my points last week, and I saw a couple people were giving me shit. BP, I've lost 2 games all season long. So you know what? I'm going to come out here and just say what I feel. And, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to win every single game, but Drew wanted to come out and say, nice job to you last Thursday night.
Hey, CT Bets. Hey, that's stand up, guys. You know, that's stand up. Some people don't always do that. CT Bet 16 on Twitter. He does. And I'll tell you this, you bring up the non-offensive touchdown, man. And how about Patrick Mahomes? Put it on the money right through the hands, pick six the other way.
Yeah.
You know that stung. You know, I get it.
Oh.
Patrick Mahomes, he's won the Super Bowl. That's got to hit him inside, doesn't it, CT?
You could tell the frustration he was going through all game there. I mean, he threw a couple balls that should have been caught. And Tony was great last year for the Chiefs. So that was pretty unexpected. I thought Tony would have a good game, especially getting him right on the numbers. But that's football. That's gambling. You know, the Lions scored 14 offensive points and they won 21-20. I think they're going to need a little more than that. And I don't think it's panic time for Chiefs backers or Chiefs fans either.
Absolutely. Another mainstay here on the show, Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter, wagertalk.com. Trig, how you feeling, buddy?
Just one quick point about that Chiefs game. That holding penalty on the last drive, tough call. Like, I mean, if they don't call a hold right there, they may kick a field goal to win that game. I know that probably wouldn't have, mattered with the cover. Drew, it's going good. NFL's going great. College, broke even last week. Hope to do better this week. Baseball, just a complete abomination still, getting walked off in the 9th inning with 2-run leads on a regular basis. But you know what? I hope it all comes back in football season. 9-3 start to the NFL, 3-1, on Sunday, and hope to do it again this weekend. So, everything's going well. It's Thursday night, ready for Thursday night football, and hope we have a great weekend.
Yeah, we'll get you ready for tonight's games, guys. And you bring up college football. Whew. I'm glad last week was gone. I'm looking for some winners this week. But, hey, hopefully we can find some college football winners for the people. I know I need to do better. And Bryan Power here from wagertalk.com stepping in for Kelly Stewart. BP, always good to have you, man. Welcome on in.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to the viewers. First of all, I know this is like tuning into Monday Night Football expecting Aaron Rodgers and you get Zach Wilson instead. But it worked out pretty well, didn't it, on Monday, CT? I can't promise you a new car, but I can promise you hopefully some winners. We're doing okay, Drew. The last week, 8-1, all sports run, 4-0 in the NFL Sunday and Monday. I had the Jets in the under in a teaser, played a little more conservative than my man CT, who no one should talk shit to, by the way. But we're all winners, I guess, on Monday night. That feels good. And it is great to be here with you three of the finest individuals around.
Finest is one way to put it. I don't know if everybody would agree, but hey, we'll try to find some winners, and then people will think we're just fine. So what, we got Memphis Navy tonight, guys. We also got the NFL game, Vikings and Eagles here. I don't have anything on the college football game yet. I was waiting for the show. Maybe somebody can point me in the right direction, or what do we want to do? We want to go to NFL first. What do we got?
Well, Drew, I mean, Navy is absolutely the sharp side tonight. They've gotten hit. And listen, I gave out 2 sharp angles on the show last week. Both of them won. So I'm gonna, try to throw them in as the show goes. And there hasn't, honestly, I haven't seen a whole lot this week so far. A couple of angles here in NFL and college football, but the one that's gotten hit the most today is Navy on every which way possible. First quarter, first half, full game, alternate line. I've seen Navy sprinkled in every which way. So do what you will with that. I see it starting to hit the board now. Sorry, I'm my other screen is behind here. I'm seeing this now hit 12 and a half. So this started at 14 and a half, 14, but even 13 and a half was hit. Now I'm starting to see 12 and a half. So I don't know, how much lower it can go, but first half, first quarter, full game, all appear to be sharp bets, on the Navy midshipman tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, we are seeing 12 and a half start to pop up at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Tends to be a sharper book here. So, yeah, you can see why money is coming in on Navy. BP, did you play it?
I did not, but I'll say this. This feels like it's going to be a close win for Memphis. Memphis is due some close game regression from last year, but they're generally bad as a favorite. They're 3-10 laying point against the number, laying points at home. They've lost a lot of close. They've lost a lot of games they should win. So I would not rush to back Memphis. I mean, we all know the adage about service academies getting points, right? Now, Navy certainly could. They were abysmal against Notre Dame in that opener. But Memphis is not Notre Dame, obviously. I just think this feels like it's probably going to be a close game where Memphis wins but doesn't cover.
And CT, did you touch the college game?
I haven't touched either college or NFL tonight, Drew. But I lean Minnesota tonight. I was kind of mad at myself earlier in the week. I didn't get 7. But Minnesota is the way I lean because the Eagles' pass defense, they looked pretty bad versus the Patriots last weekend. It's one of those nights where I could see Captain Kirk and Jefferson kind of teeing up and having a night. Also, thought the way the rookie wideout Jordan Addison out of USC looked last week for the Vikes, and some key injuries there for the Eagles. Mack threw for 316 yards against that Eagles defense there. If the Vikes limit the turnovers and they can move the ball, I think they could stay within the number. Not an official play for me. That's just my opinion for tonight if you're looking for one.
Yeah, the more opinions, the better. We got -6 here. That's Philly, and 49-ish being the total. There are some 48s and a half. Was that you, Trig?
No, I'll just jump in real quick. Yeah, I'll just jump in real quick. I thought both results last week were kind of phony in the sense that, Philadelphia covers the spread, but if New England doesn't have a holding call on the 2-point try, they don't cover the spread. I thought, and, they were gifted that early 16-0 lead, Philadelphia. And Minnesota was, I'll talk about this a little bit later on, they were a hard luck loser in week 1. Now, anyone who saw this team last year knows they deserve some hard luck losses, quite frankly. But, they outgained Tampa Bay by 2.3 yards per play, by 127 yards total. So, Minnesota, to me, yeah, they lose. Yeah, Philadelphia wins in week 1. But I thought both instances were pretty misleading results. I don't have a play on the side, but that was just, when I look at the two teams in the week 1 results, that was certainly my takeaway there.
Sure. Good point, PP. Yeah, that holding call on the 2-point conversion going a long way for cashing or not cashing some tickets. CT Bets, what do we like for big game breakdown this week?
Yeah, Drew, I'll go to the college slate Saturday night, and it's TCU at Houston, and it's the 8:00 game on Fox. The Horned Frogs, they make the short trip, to battle it out with the Houston Cougars. And I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong week 1. I thought TCU would have took care of business versus Colorado as huge faves. We all know what happened there. I adjusted. I downgraded TCU. The defense is a mess. They had a get-right game last week. They beat Nichols by 35. Obviously, I don't put too much into that win. The Cougars, that they come home this week after losing on the road to Rice as a 7-point favorite. And I think that the game versus Rice was a little bit of a look-ahead spot, right? This is Houston's first year in the Big 12. This is an in-state game versus TCU, the runner-ups from last year. the trigger man, Donovan Smith, the Texas Tech transfer for Houston, he's been dominant for the Cougars so far. It's been a very pleasant surprise for them. The running back room is very talented this year as well to help give Donovan some support. I thought Dykes would be able to reload quickly from all the lost talent last year onto the NFL. Seemed to be wrong on that. Houston could be explosive on offense, and I think they could get some stops and right their wrongs this week and control this game versus TCU. TCU 1-4 ATS in their last 5. I like the Cougars to stay within the number here. I played on Houston plus 7.5 for big game breakdown, Drew.
Roof, roof. That's the dog barking. Houston there. You know your Texas football. I got to give you a shout out here, CT Bets. I remember you putting Baylor against Utah, bringing that up. I'm like, I first saw that. I'm like, I don't know, man. Utah is looking pretty good. And sure enough, you know your Baylor Bears. You know your Texas football very well. I've known CT Bets. What is it about the Lone Star State, man? It just gets you on the right side?
Yeah, I went to grad school at Baylor, so I'm been dialed into Texas football and the Big 12 for a long time now. So I tend to pay more attention to the Texas teams than the Big 12, Drew. It's just something I enjoy watching, Texas football.
Sure. Stick to what you know. That's a good way to make some money in life and in the sports betting world. Trig, what were you thinking about big game breakdown?
So for my big game breakdown, Drew, I'm going to go to a game that has sort of become a big game out of nowhere. And that's Colorado and Colorado State. Your favorite degenerate special, late night slot. I was over here checking, making sure I was right about that 10 p.m., the Drew Martin special.
Oh, yeah.
And I really like Colorado State here. So I got it, I'll give some props to CT. He told me, he said, Trig, wait to bet this. It's going to keep going up. And I did, obviously, from earlier this week. I agreed with him on that. And then today I saw something that, I was like, man, is this going to get hit at 23.5? And I don't want to miss 23.5. So I locked in. This is a client play for me, Drew. Colorado State plus 23.5. And then, of course, I look, and there's some 24s out there. I wonder if that has something to do with Mr. Norvell on the Colorado State side, getting the opposing team all fired up with his comments. Could also have to do with a quarterback change. Looks like it's going to be Braden Fowler Nicolosi for Colorado State instead of Clay Millen. But that's not a huge concern for me. I don't think there's a real difference in terms of like a move in the number from one to the other. I think Millen is probably the better long-term option. He was, of course, the guy that they kind of came into the season as the starter, very accurate passer last year. But Fowler Nicolosi played 3 games last year. He played well. And bottom line is they just liked what they saw out of him. And they're going to, and Norvell looks like he's just going to kind of ride the hot hand. Remember, Colorado State believed they were the only FBS team in the country last week with a bye week. So they're coming in with 2 weeks of prep. And that's just something that I think they said in practice, you know what, like we like the way one is playing over the other, and we're just going to go with it. Because it doesn't mean Millen's hurt. And, if he's not playing well, I'm sure they're going to go back to Millen anyway. So I don't put any stock into the quarterback change. I don't think it moves the needle at all in this game for Colorado State. On the other side, I just think this line is outrageous. Like, listen, Colorado is great. And I was even like a believer within them going into last week. I wasn't on Nebraska like every other quote unquote sharp person on planet Earth was last week. I thought Colorado would win that game, and they did. But now we're getting to the point where they're the hunted, right? Like they went from being the hunter, big underdog to TCU, slight favorite that like a lot of people didn't believe in, to huge 3-touchdown favorite that now they have to win and cover the number to get it done. And when you have that type of role reversal, it typically doesn't always pan out to another win against the spread. Colorado State, Drew, go back to the first week of the season. This is a team that was a 16-point underdog to Washington State, and it was bet all the way to 8.5. That number went off 8.5 from 16. A lot of respected money hit Colorado State that first week. They just didn't play well. Their defense was awful. They lost 50-24. But you know what? Can we tip our cap to Washington State, who went out the next week and beat Wisconsin? Maybe Washington State's just better than they were getting credit for going into the season. Bottom line is this is a huge game for Colorado State, too. This is the Rocky Mountain Showdown, Drew. I know you love your rivalries, love your gimmick names. We got the Rocky Mountain Showdown. I think both networks are showing up to do a pregame show at this game. They've turned it into this huge spectacle, and I don't think that helps Colorado. I mean, Colorado's got enough hype now. Now, like, how big can the head get, right? Like, it's like they're going to be rolling in 2-0. Everyone thinks they're the greatest now, and they've got to play their rival, who's a pretty capable team, in my opinion. So 24 points, way too many. I think Colorado State's going to hang around a lot longer than people think here. It's a 4% play for me, and I love the Rams in this spot. I think they cover.
Rocky Mountain Showdown, absolutely. We got a couple good rivalry names. We got the Victory Bell. We got Rio Grande rivalry all going this weekend. So we're getting there with some of these college football rivalries. Like the breakdown there, Trig. We got a bunch of people here in the chat box. Abby Jackson in the house, Titan CT. All you got Jay Buff. People liking the over in that game, the Rocky Mountain Showdown game. But hey, BP, what do you like? Are you liking anything Colorado State? What do you got for big game breakdown?
Well, all right, I'm going to pivot to the NFL, actually. We'll go back to college for my best bet. But, at the top of the show, and we do this a lot, too, we talk about when we've got a hard luck loss, right? But I want to talk right now about a game that I won on in NFL Week 1. That was actually, I thought, kind of lucky, and that was Tampa Bay against Minnesota. I took the points in that one. That was the right side taking the points, but I thought Tampa Bay was fortunate to win that game outright. As I mentioned earlier in the show, they were outgained both total yardage and yards per play. They had the largest negative yards per play differential of any winning team in Week 1. Anyone who watched the game knows the key was Minnesota turned it over twice deep in Tampa territory. There was a fumble and a Kirk Cousins interception. Todd Bowles, I'll tip my cap to him. He was aggressive late in the game on 4th down. But I'm not really sure I liked what I saw to Baker Mayfield in that game. He, by the way, 3-10 straight up in his career the week following an outright win as a dog. And guess what? Tampa Bay is a favorite this week. In my analysis for the Tampa Bay-Minnesota game, I said, hey, I'm interested if Tampa Bay is an underdog this year. They were 4-13-1 against the number last season, but only because they were favored a lot. There was only one time all of last season they were a dog of more than 3.5 points. Now you've got a situation where the look-ahead line, they were the underdog at home to Chicago, but because of last week's results, that number flipped right away. And I know there's not a lot of positive stuff we could say about the Bears, okay, coming into this game. They have not won since before Halloween of last year. That is a very long time, obviously. The offensive line's kind of bad. The defense is pretty bad. But again, I look back to that look-ahead line, and every day on the Power 5 here on Wager Talk TV, I talk about buy low and sell high spots. This, to me, is classic buy low, sell high. Give me Chicago with the points. I think they absolutely can snap their losing streak here. This is a desperate team coming in, and I just don't really like the idea of Baker Mayfield being favored against anybody, with the exception of probably Arizona or maybe a Houston or Indianapolis.
Like the breakdown there, NFL, Baker Mayfield bringing into it. Man, I don't know if you've checked out social media at all, Brian, but there's people like making fun of him / rooting for him. You know what? He was kind of talking some smack on the field in the Week 1, and he was saying that he knew the defensive calls coming in, which helped him out as well. I don't know if he'll be able to translate that this week.
Well, I mean, Baker Mayfield's been on 4 NFL teams in 14 months. He's getting passed around like a hat on Sunday church, man. If he was that good, he wouldn't be on 4 teams in 14 months, man. Come on. I saw enough of him in Cleveland. He's still turning his back to the play. He's short. I mean, no offense to anybody, but I mean, I don't know. I was never a huge Baker Mayfield fan. He was a terrible number 1 overall draft choice. And I think he's pretty terrible as a favorite, too. Bears are probably going to win the record.
He showed up in LA for one day just to knock me and CT out of Survivor last year. That's all so I've got about
one quarter.
He showed up for 1 quarter. That's right.
Yeah, awful. Thanks for bringing that up. Ugh.
It was like the end of that movie Above the Rim. Remember that?
Yeah, Above the Rim.
Good movie.
Bringing the fire.
Yeah.
Have you guys put anything in for Survivor yet, or kind of waiting that out? CT.
Well, no, I mean, let's talk about Survivor Week 2 quick. CT, we haven't even talked off air yet, so CT and I are going to have our weekly conversation right here.
Well, we have 5 entries, Drew. We have not had a discussion yet, and I guess the easier picks, a couple of those they play on the holidays, right? So the Niners, right? I don't really want to feel like burning them right away. They play on, I think they play on both holidays, right? Christmas and Thanksgiving. So I'd like to keep them alive.
Survivor.
That's good to know. Actually,
that's huge info right there. Like, if you better know that, because you're gonna need the Niners on one of those holidays, probably.
Niners at Seahorses on Turkey Day, and Ravens at Niners Christmas. So kind of want to hold on to those teams, especially so early in the season. The one that I'm probably going to bring up to Trig would probably be a popular play. Is I think the Bills bounce back on Sunday. They come home. They get the Raiders. The Raiders are pretty dinged up right now. I saw Jacoby Myers didn't practice again today. I just kind of think that the Raiders are a mess. And even though that the Bills turned the ball over a ton last week, that's a great defense the Jets have there. They did a great job, but I got really lucky. I thought I was dead with Rodgers when he went down. So I was just happy I didn't go and bet the Bills live and lay a lot of juice like I know a lot of people, friends of mine, who did and thought it was just free money. So Bills is the main one I'm looking at for this weekend, Drew. Giants might be another one, even though they weren't very impressive on Sunday Night Football, and Cardinals didn't score an offensive point either. So those would probably be my top 2 right now.
What about the philosophy of just kind of like fading the Cardinals or fading another team? Do you guys like doing that? Just picking the
Giants
team
play the Cardinals there.
Right. Yeah.
I'll jump in here, Drew, because I kind of like threw it out there to Chris. Actually, like CT last week was like, I kind of think the Cardinals are, we ended up going with 2 on the Commanders because we were like, okay, we have to use a couple on the Commanders because when else are you going to possibly use them? But I know that, like, I kind of brought that up and I said, hey, can you just are the Cardinals bad enough? Because coming into the year, I thought maybe they were bad enough to just fade for like maybe 6-7 weeks. I wasn't like totally turned off by them last week. I mean, I don't think they played particularly well, but they're probably going to find a way to win. Like, I do think the Giants could be an option, but I got to be honest, I'm a little bit like concerned there. Of course, the game is in Arizona. The Giants didn't look very good week 1. I mean, maybe they do bounce back, but that was one that I kind of had on my list initially that I said, I don't know if I want to take them on the road there. I agree with Chris. I think the best option is Buffalo. I actually think, surprised, like this one took money, which is odd to me. Bet down to 8 and 8.5. I almost think you could lay the points with the Bills this week, and that'd be a pretty good bet. I was surprised to see, the Raiders. I think there was, 10 at one point, and it got bet down. I would expect to go back up, and I think the Bills are a great option. The other option I really like, Drew, is the Broncos. I think the Broncos are a really good survivor pick this week. You have the Commanders coming off a win. I watched every snap of that game. It was an awful football game. Commanders found a way, but now they have to go on the road to Denver, Mile High. I mean, I don't love the Broncos as a team. The matchup is like whatever, but like if you were gonna sort of go off the beaten path a little bit, whereas because like CT said, you've got major favorites, Cowboys, 49ers, Bills, but man, you really don't want to use Cowboys and 49ers if you don't have to. I think a viable option is the Broncos at home to get a win.
Like it, guys. A little survivor action for you.
First-year head coach doesn't want to go 0-2 at home as well in Denver. I mean, I think that's the key. I think that's a really smart look if you don't want to burn one of those favorites, man, in Denver.
I'd be good with that as well. Yep.
Down action. We talked about rivalry names here. Rio Grande rivalry. A little off the board. 8:00 Eastern, 5:00 Pacific. It's New Mexico State and New Mexico, if you did not know. And New Mexico is actually the -1.5 point favorite. It's getting bumped down to -1 right now. So New Mexico State, the Aggies. I bet them last week, but I'm a glutton for punishment. They had a tough trip to Liberty and they lost. I think they're actually going to come home here, in-state rival, and win this game. Couple trends pointing towards why. First, want to start off Jerry Kill. I'll take him as a head coach, getting the troops together. They made a bowl game last year. An 0-8 against the spread as a favorite. That's the New Mexico Lobos. So they have not won as a favorite in their last 8 tries. It's not like they've been a favorite a whole lot. So in this role, plus they're 1-15 the last 16 times as a favorite. You don't want to be laying points with New Mexico. We'll take the other side. And last year, New Mexico was minus 7-point favorites, and they went out and lost by 2 touchdowns almost. So New Mexico State's won 7 of the last 8 in this one. I think they make it 8 of the last 9. Give me the Aggies in the Rio Grande rivalry. New Mexico State plus the 1. The underdog is barking. We got big game breakdown in the books. We got best bets coming up. We got Kelly in Vegas's parlay to give out on the show. If you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Huge shout out, like always, to the chat box. Everybody joining us live, 7:00 Eastern time, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Smash that like button. Julian saying Cardinals defense looked pretty good. Titans CT, good bounce back spot for Buffalo. So, hey, we'll see what happens here. But thanks for chiming in. And please feel free to comment below in the comment section where you agree, where you disagree, what you're looking to bet on. All is welcome in the comments below. Best bet section coming up. And let's do we want to get anything else out there before we get to best bets? Okay, guys.
Well, is there questions in the chat? Questions in the chat? We could hit a couple if they've got like specific games they want to hear about. I thought someone asked one.
Jay Buff asked for Cuse Purdue, if anybody had an opinion on that. I lean Cuse there, but I'll let you guys take it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I thought for sure. So I'll follow up my preseason. I said, Syracuse, I played their season win total under because I think the schedule does them no favors later in the season. Then I was kind of like teased this a couple weeks ago. I said, man, I'll probably love Purdue in that game in week 3, but I'm kind of starting to lean Cuse's way as well. I don't know. Just Purdue comes in off a couple like big performances as well. That the number is just smaller than I expected it to be. I actually think there's a little bit of value there with Syracuse. So probably not a game that makes my card, but Jay Buff, maybe we'll get some excitement here in Central New York again and be 3-0 and then 4-0 going into the Clemson game. But yeah, I'll be rooting for the Cuse. I hope they win that one.
We did have a question
I'm with
here.
you.
Ansel, go ahead, CT. Sorry about that.
I was just going to say I lean Cuse too. It's probably not going to make my card, but look at last week's game, Drew, Purdue. Like that was the long weather delay game, right? And then Vatek's quarterback, I think his name's Wells, he gets knocked out of the game. And their best player, Jennings, he wasn't playing. I just think Cuse is just the better all-around team there, and I think Purdue's still kind of a mess and from losing Braum from last year. So Cuse would be my lean there, but probably not going to be a play for me.
Yeah, the coaching change. I haven't gotten eyes on Syracuse yet this year. Do they still have Schrader as their quarterback? That like lanky kind of athletic guy that I'm surprised he made it as long as he did last year, the way he was running around. I can't believe he didn't get injured before that.
Well, Drew, if you remember last year, I went down to the Syracuse-Clemson game in South Carolina, and he got just thrown around the field like a rag doll. And then we came on. I think CT might have had it as his best bet for our show and for the week. Came on and gave out Notre Dame, and they just blasted Syracuse at Syracuse, and Schrader was like a cripple in that game. And then he was out of the game, and then he never really recovered from that last season, which caused Syracuse's downfall. That's ultimately what I think ends up happening to Syracuse again this year, because he's surrounded by a lesser team this year. See, that's going to be Syracuse's problem. They look great against Western Michigan, right? And they very well may win the Purdue game. They might be Army. Who knows? They might even play a good game against Clemson. But after Clemson, it gets real tough. I think it's like on the road at Florida State, on the road at North Carolina, on the road at Virginia Tech. It's gonna. I have a feeling the same thing happens to Cuse this year. They start hot, the schedule catches up with them, and then you can probably fade them at like decent prices, especially if, like, let's say they go out and cover against Purdue this weekend. I might think Army might be a good bet the following week. But like, if they get a couple covers there, you're going to have a chance to probably make a nice bet against Syracuse in one of those road games where they like start to get overmatched and, maybe pick up an injury or two, and suddenly Florida State runs them out by like 40. Like that's probably what's going to happen.
We do have another question here. Ansel saying bankroll question. Is the percentage of a play equivalent to the percentage of one's bankroll? For example, if Adam says he has a 4% play, does that mean he is betting 4% of his bankroll on that play? So Adam, if somebody has $10,000, should they be putting $400 on a 4% play?
Depends. I mean, you can do it like that. I also think you could do like a simple method and just make it like 4 units and then just keep your, figure out what your unit is, put 4 of them. BP, I'll kick it over to Bryan. I want to see what he says about that, because I think you could look at it a little bit differently.
No, that's absolutely the way I do it. It's more of for me, I mean, it's more of a unit play. I would lean to what Trigg said, the second part there, where I think it's like, okay, like, you look at this, not as necessarily 4% of the bankroll, but I'm ranking it as like a 4-unit play.
CT, you got a question. Any thoughts on the Penn State game? No, you have some insides there with the Nittany Lions.
I really, really, really wanted to like Illinois this weekend. I really did. I wanted to get the window on them, especially Penn State has Iowa next week. Iowa, as you guys know, I'm high on. Iowa is going to give them a pretty good game, in my opinion. I don't know, Drew. It would be Illinois or nothing for me, and I don't want to step in front of Penn State right now. They look pretty good. I'm not in a rush to lay that big of a number with Penn State on the road, so it's not going to make my card there. I really wanted to like the Illini, and I can't do it.
Thanks for the question.
I did a video on that game earlier in the week. I leaned to the over in that. I think if Penn State can get to 35, which I think Illinois' defense has been terrible the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Then I think then you could be looking at an over. You wouldn't need much help from Illinois. James Franklin, we know he's not afraid to run the score up late in the game. He's got the wagertalk.com on screen booked.
Yeah, that's a great point.
CT, are you?
I don't know if it's either, Bryan. I don't even know if it's either that he wants to run the score up, or I've always said that James Franklin, and I give my brother crap for this all the time. He's a Penn State rep. He's just so brain dead. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's like, he doesn't even know if there's 8 minutes left. He thinks 8 minutes left. It wouldn't shock me one bit.
CT, are you going to the Iowa Penn State game? I thought Steve said he's going to that one. I could have been wrong. I talked.
My brother is going.
Months ago.
He is going. He invited me. I've made that trip so many times and gone to so many Penn State football games. It's just got a little old for me. If I was going to go to the game, I would have went. If it was Penn State at Iowa, I would have went. I'm kind of all set with the Penn State trip for now. I've been to like 15 of them.
Dude, it is. We go sometimes. It's like a 3.5, 4 hour drive for me. It's Penn State's in the middle.
It's a long drive.
Nowhere. It's kind of a middle. It's a terrible drive.
Oh yeah, the middle of Pennsylvania is as bad a drive as there is in America, except from like Toledo to Iowa. That would be Toledo to Iowa is the worst drive in the United States of America. But I've driven through the middle of Pennsylvania. My car actually. I don't want to get into that story when my car died in the middle of Pennsylvania, but a brutal place for it to die, man. Wilkes-Barre, or is it Wilkes-Barre? I don't know. But regardless, you don't want to get stuck there overnight. Not too fun. My apologies if anyone lives.
Oh, there's like a Mohegan Sun there now, so it's not too bad. You should make it. If you can make it to the Mohegan Sun, you're good.
So CT, it's really the drive. It's not the actual place and the people and the hangover.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun down there. The drive down there sucks, and then on Sunday the ride back is even worse, just because you just want to be home and watching NFL on your couch, and you end up hitting traffic. It's just a lot, Drew. It's a long weekend. I do suggest if you've never been to a Penn State game, you should absolutely go. I've just been lucky enough to go to a lot of good ones down there, and I'm kind of all set for a little while.
Yeah, you got to recharge on the Penn State, the Penn State battery. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Guys, hopefully you're liking the show. Reminder, please smash that like button. And we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. 20% off using Hustle20 at checkout. It's not just a drink, it's a statement. Embrace the vibes, own the winning mindset, and let's live it up. Viva Tequila Seltzer, raising a toast to cashing those tickets. Cheers to have those Viva vibes. Hashtag Viva vibes. Guys, we got a parlay from Kelly in Vegas coming your way. I'm feeling good about this parlay because my best bet's actually on it. We didn't even talk about it. She's betting the money line. I tell you the truth, I didn't sprinkle personally just yet, but I think I'm going to as soon as we get off here. And that's the Florida Gators. Chomp, chomp, in the swamp, plus 6.5 against Tennessee. Yeah, everybody remembers the Gators not looking good against Utah. First time they took a trip out of the state of Florida and didn't play a non-conference game in September in over 30 years. Weird matchup for them. But I think they're actually going to bounce back here, guys. I really do. And plus, Billy Napier, even including that loss as an underdog, is 17-8 against the spread. So he's been money all the way back to his Louisiana days, getting the kids coached up here. UF, 5-1 their last 6 against the spread versus Tennessee. Tennessee's had all kinds of problems playing in the swamp. Last thing here, Heupel, head coach. People talking about, the offensive system. I don't know if I'm ready to say that, guys. I really don't. I don't think Hendon Hooker got enough credit last year being the point man at the quarterback position. Joe Milton, I don't know. We'll see. I'm just not ready to lay a touchdown. They're going to have to win by a touchdown on the road here in the swamp at night. I don't know, guys. I think it's a little bit too much. Give me the dog. The Gators chomping there. The dog is barking in the swamp, Gainesville, Florida. That is my best bet. CT Bet 16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston, guys, right here on the Hustle Thursday nights. He also does a Hustle Short with Kelly in Vegas on Mondays. CT, throw it over to you, man. What are you looking at for best bets?
Well, Drew, I like your best bet with Florida there. That's probably a game that's going to make my card. And Saturday, Drew, I'll be texting this to you. You're either a Gator or you're Gator bait on Saturday, all right? So I'm with you. Good luck there. And I think it's pretty good to point out. And I know you're a big trends guy, but Tennessee has lost 9 straight in Gainesville. Not sure if you knew that. So you got that going for you. My best bet, Drew, I am going to the last game of the week, Sunday Night Football, right? We're off to week 2, and the Dolphins, your Dolphins, Drew, they've had to do some travel in the first couple of weeks. They're in LA last week, then back to Miami, now off to New England for Sunday Night Football. Talk about going cross country there. That's a tough travel right there. The Fins, they did put up 37 points and a ton of yards in offense, but the defense was gashed left and right by the Chargers as well. The Patriots, on the other hand, outside of the first quarter in which they went down very quickly, 16-0, played a pretty solid game overall. Mac Jones throws a pick 6, right? In the Gulls on the 42. Zeke fumbles a routine catch out to the left, and bang, the Gulls are up 16-0 in a blink of the eye with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Tough to come back from there. After those 2 hiccups, the Patriots out-yarded the Gulls 382 yards to 250, and they pissed away numerous opportunities to win that game in the fourth quarter. The offense looked surprisingly decent after they got going. Like Tyree for the Dolphins, he looked great last week against the Chargers. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but he won't be able to do that versus Bill and the Pats defense. They're going to put someone over the top, double him, and they're going to make somebody else beat them. Like Bill figured this out years ago on how to contain Tyreek Hill. And the Fins don't really have a run game. And to be honest, their offensive line is very comparable to the Patriots' offensive line. Bill and the Pats have been pretty good off a loss at home. And I think the Pats D will be able to get some stops, and catching 3 points at home during Sunday Night Football. I'll grab them, and I'll look for the Patriots to stay within the number and maybe win this game outright, Drew. Best bet for me is Patriots +3.
All right, CT Bets, any final thoughts here?
Final thoughts is it's been a good run to football so far. Looking to keep it going, and thanks everybody for watching every single week.
Absolutely, guys. I guess I'll get out Kelly in Vegas's parlay here. Money line, guys. I'll read it from the money line. The Coco special here as make Coco in Vegas rest in peace. Follow Kelly on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. She's got Minnesota 232 on the road as the dog. They are catching plus 7.5 against North Carolina. So the first leg is Minnesota. She's also on the Florida Gators, guys, plus 205. That's the Gators. We just went over that. At home, a home dog, and another home dog here, lining up with one that CT bets like the Houston Cougars, plus 232. So plus 232 on Houston, Florida Gators plus 205, and Minnesota Golden Gophers plus 232. That's Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, her money line parlay. And remembrance of Coco in Vegas, Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter. Trig, any final thoughts? And what do you got for best bet?
No, I'll just go right into my best bet, Drew. Well, my thought here real quick is I thought that CT Bets was going to come on this show and give out UConn. So I wore my jacket, my lucky UConn jacket. Then he didn't give it out. But I've realized that I gave Texans on the hustle short on Tuesday, which was the game I was going to come and break down. So you know what? I'll piggyback with CT. I know he likes the UConn Huskies. I like them too. I think they're going to smash Florida International this week. Drew, I know you're an FIU guy down there. You've got your FIU lager on your wall somewhere back there. They're 2-1 somehow, despite being outgained in all 3 games. But they're also 2-18 in the last 20 road games, and I think they're just going to bite off a little bit more than they can chew on the road at UConn. I don't think the quarterback change for UConn is a big deal at all. Believe Robertson was a Penn State transfer, came in and kind of played okay in relief last week. I think he was supposed to be the starter at one point for UConn, got hurt. Fagnano ended up coming in, as the starter. Now he got pulled last week. He's hurt. They're going back to Robertson. Don't think it matters. I think UConn has just as good of a chance to win. And, Florida International, I still don't think they're a very good football team. I think they play well in the underdog role, especially like the big dog. Like go back to that first week game against Louisiana Tech, being able to sort of hang around. Of course, another big dog against North Texas. But when they were favored earlier this year, they almost lost to Maine, okay? FCS Maine was a 14-12 game. I have a feeling they get run out here. I think UConn could win this game pretty big. So that'll be my best bet for the show. Hasn't made my client card yet, but there's still time. I'll lay it with the Huskies. I think they run away with their first win of the season.
Trig, I'm lining up with you and CT there. I mean, I know I do have my FIU lager here.
There it is.
I saw this, guys, when I was getting some Viva Tequila Seltzer at Total Wine in South Florida here, and they just had this FIU lager. I felt like I had to get it. It was like, I don't know, like $7, but
Brian,
I still got it. I feel like I got a little
Brian,
bit ripped off.
Brian, do you think that compares to the Kent State Golden Flash Ale that we were drinking that night?
I'll tell you what, buddy, that was Bud Light with a lightning bolt on it, man. That's what that Kent Flash lager was, man. You can slap a logo on anything and call it something, I guess, man. Yeah, that was.
Did they really have the logo though, BP? Like it was Kent State beer?
Oh yeah, it was a special Kent State. It was a local brewery made it, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything special. I've had a lot better beers, and all due respect to the fine Kent State University there.
Okay.
Great DJ though. Great DJ at that.
Yeah, he was playing all the hits, all the college and high school hits that night, buddy.
Trig, I've been waiting for a time to like do a video and open this and be like, all right, we're betting FIU. This is not the week, man. I'm with you guys. I think UConn's a side. FIU is 2-18 their last 20 games when leaving Miami, Southwest Miami. Yep. 6-14 on against the spread when doing that. They do not play well. I mean, South Florida kids going up there, that is quit.
I was going to say, I had the jacket on too because it was kind of chilly here today, and I mean, Connecticut gets similar weather to us. I'm curious to see what the kickoff temperature is going to be, if it's going to be cooler this weekend, because that could, I mean, mid-September it starts to get cold up here, and that would certainly not help Florida International, who rarely comes up here to play a football game.
Sure. Good point. Yeah. UConn, guys, minus the 7. BP, Bryan Power, wagertalk.com. We do a short together on Wednesdays. It's been pretty entertaining the last 2 weeks. BP, I guess final thoughts, best bet for you?
Yeah, I'm just glad that Trig brought up UConn FIU because, boy, do I have a doozy of a game to close this show out with? We're going to look at Liberty and Buffalo. Now, Liberty is 2 for 2 in covering the spread so far. And they've won both games as a favorite, and they are just laying a short number at a Buffalo team that just lost to FCS Fordham. And CT, I regret to inform you, we are going with what is behind door number 2 and Buffalo in this one, because why would you not do that? Look, Buffalo, they need a win badly, okay? They're 0-2. Their next 2 games are on the road. If they don't win here, they might be 0-5. They're 22-13 against the number as a home dog of 3 points or more. So we got the trends in our favor. Precedent. Buffalo lost to an FCS team last year. Holy Cross. I think it was on a Hail Mary. I apologize. I meant to look that up. I'm 90% sure it was on a Hail Mary. But what did they do the following week? I know this. I'm 100% sure. They went out and they covered as a 13-point dog on the road against Coastal Carolina. Look, anytime you got a team off a humiliating loss, they're going to be undervalued. They're going to be motivated. And like I mentioned, Buffalo's next 2 games are on the road, so there has to be a real priority to win here. Otherwise, they're looking at a real nasty 0-5 start. Give me Buffalo, a team that played tough with Wisconsin for a half. Give me plus the points against Liberty. Liberty, you mentioned the New Mexico State game, Drew, earlier. Liberty they did need a late 4th down stop in that game. And then their defense let BG, Bowling Green, who is not a good MAC team, back in that game after taking a big early lead. I'm not confident in this Liberty defense on the road. Give me the points with a team who just lost to an FCS team. Why wouldn't you do something like that?
Bryan Power, ladies and gentlemen, BP by some, Adam Trigger, CT Bets. I am Drew Martin. Guys, check out vivatequilaseltzer.com. Huge shout out to the chat box. Like always, please smash that like button if you're liking the content, and let us know what you want to hear next week. We will be back 7 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday. For CT Bets, Adam Trigger, Bryan Power, I'm Drew Martin. Cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in.